During the G7 meeting in southern Italy, French President Emmanuel Macron and Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni exchanged jabs. When Macron attacked Italy for allegedly softening the draft statement's language on abortion rights, Meloni charged that the French president was using the G7 meeting for political purposes. Tensions between the two Publian leaders are also shown in their body language. There are a few subjects that create as much of a split between trustworthy moderate fathers and right-wing and left-wing extremists as the European Union does. Over the course of history, the concept of European integration has been supported by the majority of reasonable people. Those who were troublemakers and had a propensity for collective self-harm, on the other hand, were the ones who paraded the proud nation-state. But is it possible that everything is going to change? Over the course of several decades, Europeans have reaped the benefits of the United States, U.S., security umbrella, and of an international economic order dominated by the West. Not only did our factories export, but our tanks also corroded. The unimaginative fathers of the center-right administration were responsible for the peaceful world of yesterday, while the troublemakers demonstrated against the bogus EU regulations about the curvature of bananas. Nevertheless, the world we live in now is a more perplexing place. Armed conflicts on Europe's borders are accompanied with a fall in the continent's economy and population. Too few missiles are manufactured, yet we import an excessive amount of solar panels. Each of our strong nations is roughly the size of a city in Asia. Notification has been sent to the centrists. Emmanuel Macron has issued a warning that Europe may perish and even die if it does not undergo transformation. Olaf Scholz discusses the possibility of reinstituting mandatory military service. The plea for fundamental reform comes from Mario Draghi. As they storm the Bastille of European navel-gazing, let us cheer on this improbable gang of novel sans-culottes and show our support for them. Is that the case? Beginning with the global financial crisis of 2008 and continuing up until the present day, there has been no shortage of possibilities to foster the advancement of European integration. Angela Merkel, the great centrist mother, stands as a living testimony to the incapacity of pro-European elites to grab any of the opportunities that have presented themselves. It is true that the results of the past are not necessarily indicative of the future. When it comes to elections, however, the same holds true. And despite the fact that the European Union and the majority of its member states have been controlled by unambiguous centrist majorities for the past 20 years, this is no longer the case across the board, from Italy to the Netherlands. Since the beginning of time, Europe has been unable to move forward because of its centrist engine. It is possible for modern airplanes to travel considerable distances with just one engine. Nevertheless, as passengers continue to move to the right of the aisle and as turbulence continues to develop, the question arises as to whether or not we have reached the point where we need to switch on a second engine. Was it even possible for Europe's right to take on that role? If we had lived in the prosperous world of the past, the response would have been unequivocally no. The traditional far right was engaged in the juvenile business of yelling at women, LGBT people, and migrants while allowing the centrists to complete their work of repairing the economy. That might continue to be the case. Matteo Salvini has plastered posters of crickets all over Italian cities, reviving the ancient EU banana wars that occurred in the United Kingdom. According to Salvini, the European Union wants Italians to consume pasta that is manufactured from insects. Some people, such as Marine Le Pen and Geert Wilders, believe that the issue facing Europe is not a lack of bold economic and foreign policies, but rather an excessive number of mosques and wind turbines. A recent gathering of figures from the far right took place in Madrid, and this narrow-mindedness was on full show there. As a result of the fact that the world we live in today makes it abundantly evident that Europe either unites or fades, the rhetoric of the extreme right against the European Union appears to be entirely removed from reality. Additionally, this language, which asserts that it is protecting the interests of European countries, undermines those interests in an objective manner. The Euroscepticism that people want is not necessarily what they want. Scomodo, an Italian youth magazine, recently conducted a study that uncovered an intriguing correlation. 65% of Italians under the age of 35 are in favor of deeper links, and they are less apprehensive about the future than those who are against more intimate relationships. To put it another way, individuals who have faith in the prospect of a more unified Europe have a feeling of protection, which ultimately provides them with a more satisfying life experience. For a very long time, Macron has campaigned under the motto, "A Europe that protects." This is a slogan that is ready to be adopted by the right wing. What would the appearance of such a change be? In a pragmatic sense, it would be a step towards stronger European cooperation on a select group of subjects that are of critical importance. A look into such a society is provided by Giorgia Meloni, who serves as the Prime Minister of Italy. Despite the fact that her administration may be on the right, it is a proponent of common European investment in order to boost Europe's competitiveness. This is a significant objective that Italy's former Prime Minister Draghi is likely to bring up in a report on competitiveness that will be issued after the European elections. When it comes to defense spending, the government of Meloni is in favor of a common European army, or at the very least unified funding. Additionally, it tries to establish a unified migration policy, but one that is based on Merkel's plan of utilizing authoritarian regimes as a means of putting an end to irregular immigration. Is it merely an example of Italian exceptionalism, or does it have the potential to become a model for the new right? In Europe, the rise of the far right should not be blamed on the voters. Put the blame on the mainstream copycats of the radical right. Both Macron and Meloni enjoy engaging in a duel from a distance, but try to picture a scenario in which the two of them collaborated to come up with a joint proposal for the reform of Europe. Macron serves as the spokesperson for dads who are centrist. Taking on the role of spokeswoman for the right-wing mothers is Meloni. That alone would be enough to get media attention. Furthermore, it would bring about the much-required clarity in Europe, including the elimination of any excuse for centrist leaders such as Olaf Scholz to delay the implementation of European reform, as well as the differentiation between fundamentalist and pragmatic right-wing parties. It's a fallacy to link liberal democracy with polarization. Democracy is not a zero-sum game, rather is a tremendous engine of compromise. French President Emmanuel Macron and Italian Prime Minister Paolo Meloni might work together to solve the few pressing issues that Europe needs to come together on if they could refrain from engaging in ideological grandstanding and needless attacks on woke people. Joint defense, aspects of a common foreign and security policy, and strengthening the single market to restore competitiveness against China and the United States are at the top of this agenda. Joint investments and commitments to the energy and digital transition are also at the top of this agenda. Europe can be thought of as a miniature version of the entire world. There is an obvious and self-serving incentive in working together more closely. Despite this, the interest in question is put in jeopardy by a lack of confidence and ideological differences. In the event that even Macron and Meloni are unable to put aside their disagreements and work together to serve the shared interests of Europeans, what are the chances that, for example, the United States and China will be able to bridge their differences and work together to address the climate crisis? It is possible that a post-ideological agreement could be the solution to the polarization that is occurring in the European elections. This would be beneficial to the voters since it would drive the next cycle of European integration. The world would be presented with a more practical alternative to nationalism and conflict if Europe were to experience a spell of pragmatism. Share your views and opinions with us in the comments below. If you're new to our channel, then do like, share, and subscribe to our channel before leaving. Don't forget to hit the bell icon for the latest news. Thanks for watching.